Good morning. It's Terry from TLC here in Hamilton with Maggie. Maggie, the little Yorkie. And I want to pop on and talk about aggressive dogs, fear-biting dogs, fearful dogs, basically dogs that need to be the understanding that people need to have their dog in a position where they can be touched and handled and worked with. And for anybody that's tuning in and watching this, whether it's now on the live or later on the on the replay, I'm a dog groomer here in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada, and I also like to try and help and support and teach dog owners about how to look after and care for and maintain their dog at home. And one of these problems that we have in dog grooming is aggressive, fear-biting type dogs. And it's a sensitive topic. I tend to talk about sensitive topics quite a bit. Because I'm not really afraid to talk about the sensitive topics, and they need to be addressed a lot of the time. And the aggressive, fear-biting dog is one of them. And, you know, it's the owner's responsibility and their duty to recognize that there's a problem, okay? Rather than making excuses. And I understand they're embarrassed, they're confused, they don't know what to do. You know, there's a lot of things that are going on there for the dog owner, and I do feel bad for them when this happens. But when everybody is adjusting their life within the home to the dog and his behavior or her behavior, and not addressing the behavior issues, it's not getting any better. And then what happens is the dog needs to be groomed at some point. And now what are you going to do? You're going to have to find somebody that's willing to work with you. And it's dangerous, okay? It's dangerous in the fact that physically, most dog professionals aren't really that concerned about getting bit. For the most part, you know, we're pretty on top of it with regard to that, but there is a chance. But in dog grooming, you're dealing with an animal that you're using the tools, and your equipment is incredibly sharp, right? Incredibly sharp. So if you've got a little Yorkie like Maggie here, who is just completely sideways and aggressive and attacking, while I'm trying to use these very sharp things around the face and the mouth and the ears, there's a really high potential for the two of us to connect and have an accident that is now going to be a matter of stitches for the dog. And you know, who's paying for that, right? Who's paying for that vet bill? Is the owner paying for that vet bill, or is the groomer paying for that vet bill? Like, where do you draw the line in your extreme wizard skills of scissoring on that kind of a dog, right? So there's that piece. The other piece that people wouldn't think about because they're not, you know, familiar with how the dog salon works, right? Is what it does to the other dogs that are already in the salon, okay? Because usually dogs that have problems being handled and touched and have fear and aggressiveness and all those sorts of behavior things are very loud about it, okay? So you've got little Maggie here, for example, say, she's in here all the time and she's used to the routine, as you can see. Well, you can't really see her very well, can you? You can kind of see the corner of her ear. But she just stands here and she's just kind of hanging out. And Maggie came from a very horrendous situation. She's a rescue And her mama has, stood on her head to make sure that Maggie's life becomes balanced and wonderful. Okay, and she's done a great job. Maggie's lovely. But anyway, so here's Maggie having her regular grooming, but I bring in a client that has behavior issues. And that dog, I get it on the table. Maggie's sitting in the kennel waiting for her mommy to pick her up or whatever because her haircut's finished. And this new dog is on my table, and it's barking and it's growling and it's gnashing and it's bucking and it's rearing and it's wetting and it's messing and it's screaming and it's doing all of these things because that's what they do. Okay? They don't want to be touched. They don't want to work with you. They're unwilling to have any of that done. And it's a struggle, okay? And it's not something that goes easy, okay? So Maggie's sitting there in her little kennel, and she's like, what's going on? Why is that dog so upset? What's happening? And now she's got fear. And so does her little sister Abigail that she comes with every 8 weeks or so, right? The routine is off. Things in the dog grooming shop are not different. So the dog groomers have to protect their regular clients that don't have issues that they see all the time so that they're not having any upsets. And what taught me about that is many years ago, I had a German Shepherd in the salon that was in, and I knew it was animal aggressive. It couldn't stand other dogs. Like, people fine, but other dogs, wow, okay? And it would just lunge and it would try to kennel fight with other dogs, and it was brutal, just brutal. And I always brought it in and tried to get it done and sent home as quickly as possible so that there was as less disruption in the shop as I could possibly have, okay? And then an owner called me that was in the same day and said, did something happen in the shop today? And I'm like, thinking at first with their dog, like, did something happen with their dog specifically? And I'm like, no. Why? And he's like, well, he had the diarrhea really bad, and that's never happened before, so I'm wondering, like, did something happen in the shop? And I'm thinking, no, nothing happened in the shop. What could possibly be wrong? Thought about it for a little bit longer. Well, here that shepherd was just, I mean, the screaming from the shepherd trying to kill other people's dogs. I mean, it was nowhere near other people's dogs at all, not even remotely, but it's upsetting the environment, right? So all the other dogs are not feeling confident that they're safe, right? So there's that piece that it really disrupts. It has the potential to disrupt the whole grooming shop. So people that have got dogs that aren't willing to be touched and worked with, maybe need to understand that. And that takes me to the next piece. I had a woman call me a couple of weeks ago that wanted me to work with her dog that has been through multiple grooming salons in the city, multiple vets in the city, and nobody wants to work with her dog because it's so aggressive and so hateful, I think is how she put it. And she was talking about this other groomer that she used to have, but she retired. Well, if she's grooming dogs like this woman's dog was, because I actually did get to see the dog, if this girl was grooming dogs like this woman's dog her whole career, no wonder why she retired soon, right? Like, it just wears you out. Anyway, she said, well, she would just, when she first started with them, she would take her time and she would, work with them, and it was just so wonderful, and she was so patient, and I don't know. So anyway, I'm trying to look at the dog, and I can't even take the leash from the owner without it launching from the floor at me. I haven't even done anything with it. It's like, you got to be crazy to think that I'm going to work with this, right? Because I'm not going to. It's not my responsibility to fix her problem, you see. It's her responsibility to fix her problem, to recognize that she has a serious issue, right? And it's a trainer's issue. It's a professional. It's a specialist in that field of whatever's going on with the dog. It's not even up to me or any groomer to diagnose or suggest what could be the problem. It's the owner's problem to get underneath of and talk to a actual professional in training and behavior. Maybe you need a behaviorist. I don't know. I'm not getting involved, right? Anyway, back to the, and she, you know, they had gotten so far with this groomer in her hours and hours and hours and months of working with this dog, right? And she wishes that she didn't retire, and she misses her and all that kind of stuff. I said, well, how long did this process take? And she's, oh, it took several visits, right? You know, it took her 2 years. It took her 2 years to get the dog to trust her, where she could actually touch it and not get killed. And she's saying to me, like, can you do this? Well, sure, I can do this. Am I willing to do it? No. So I said to her, I said, well, how much did your groomings cost? Oh, $50. Yeah, no. No. If you've got a dog that's like that, okay, and you found a groomer that is willing to work with it and try and turn it around, they're good for you. You want to nurture that relationship and really love that person. But you also want to pay them because, you know, dollars and cents wise, like if it's going to take me as much time to groom your one aggressive, doesn't want to work with humans dog, okay, as it would to groom 3 or 4 dogs, you will be paying me the equivalent of 3 to 4 dogs and probably more, okay? But people think that we should just do it for a discount because we feel bad for you. No, I don't feel bad for you. Sorry. No, I don't. You've got a problem and you need to deal with it. That dog is miserable. Miserable life. It's not happy. It's not joyful. It's afraid of everything, right? And the other thing that owners will do, and this woman was doing it, she's standing here and she's holding it. Okay, that's fine. She's holding it, and it is just got its lips that's practically up over its head, and it's like at me, and I'm like, wow, right? I'm not going to go into that dog space. Like, I'm just not, right? And she's standing there, and she's holding it, and she's rocking it, and she's petting it, and she's saying, it's okay, it's okay, it's okay, I love you, it's okay, right? She doesn't understand that she's encouraging that negative behavior. Hence why you need a dog trainer, because dog trainers train the people on how to support the dog through what it is that they need, right? They train the people, right? So there's that piece. So yeah, it's going to cost more money to have a dog like that dealt with. You need to have a professional deal with the dog. And the other piece is the liability if there's a medical issue. Say, for example, and this has happened, not in my shop, but this has happened, okay? I think it happens more than most people know, that there's a pre-existing medical condition going on with the dog. Sometimes that's the core issue as to why they have these aggression issues, okay? I had a Westie many years ago. I'm convinced he had a brain tumor, and the pressure on his brain was making him evil, right? Because he was uncomfortable. But if there's a pre-existing medical condition that hasn't been diagnosed, that hasn't been assessed, addressed, looked at, anything, right? And I bring a dog into my shop, and I say that I'm willing to work with it, and it's doing the usual fear-biting, dog aggressive kind of stuff, and I say it's okay, we're going to work with it, and we're going to make it so that it's okay. And I'm talking like off the charts aggressiveness, and there's a lot of people's dogs that are like that, okay? There's a lot. You'd be shocked to know. And I can't get my work done unless I put a muzzle on it, and I need somebody to hold it, and then the struggling begins, right? And the thrashing begins, and we're trying everything that we can do to get it done quickly, efficiently, and safely. And then all of a sudden, the dog has a seizure, goes into cardiac arrest, and dies on my table. crap, now what? So I just don't open myself up to it. I'm kind to people and polite to people about it, but they need to have a professional. They need someone that specializes in this kind of thing so that they can support the dog and get the dog turned around so that it's confident in navigating through its life in this human world. Okay? And a grooming salon is not the place for it, in my opinion. And one of the reasons why I'm talking about it as well today is because it tends to get really bad at Christmas time. Yesterday I did 2 live streams about the Christmas appointment, right? And what happens is that people they avoid coming into the dog grooming salon because the dog has these challenges, right? They just drag their heels on doing something about it, dragging their heels on seeing a trainer, dragging their heels on going to the groomer. Hang on, I think somebody's here. No, I'm just hearing things. Dragging their heels on it because, again, they're embarrassed, they're ashamed, they're afraid. There's a lot of things. Hey, Jess, how's it going? There's a lot of things going on in the human psyche of why they're not taking care of it. But the problem's not going to go away. The problem's not going to get any better. It will not. You have got to do something about it. But anyway, they don't want the family to see this dog who's basically in a complete cast of mats because they're coming over for Thanksgiving dinner and all that kind of. Hey, Joanne, girlfriend, I'm sure you've dealt with your fair number of aggressive dogs in your career. So that's what I'm talking about, the aggressive and fear-biting dog, and why groomers need to have them come to them willing to be worked with, willing to be touched, because it's not the groomer's responsibility to train that behavior out of them, okay? That's what I'm talking about. And when we get into the Christmas appointments, they seem to come out of the woodwork because they don't want the family that's coming over to see, this is just one piece of it, this really mangy, not very good looking dog, right? They don't want that. So they come to a dog grooming salon. They don't have a relationship with the dog groomer because the dog isn't able to be touched. You see the cycle, right? Dog grooming salons are busy, like 100 times busier at this time of year. Hold on, baby. Than they are in the regular season, okay? So that adds the stress to it. You can't bring a dog in here into a dog grooming salon that is not willing to work with humans, isn't fussy on being in a room with other dogs, all of those things. He's got behavior issues regardless of what they are, right? Yeah. See, Joanne? Yeah. I want to talk about it because I think it's something that owners are going to benefit from if they hear someone like me stand up and say, look at you guys, this is what you got to do here. You got to go see a professional trainer, right? And not the dude or the gal that says for $180 or for $420, I'm going to teach you and your dog how to sit, how to roll over or whatever. Give him a treat and then he knows how to sit, and it's going to take 6 weeks. You don't want that person. You want the specialist that deals in these behavior issues, okay? You do. And they're out there, right? You just got to do your research. But anyway, I got sidetracked there. What was I saying? Yeah. The dog grooming salons get really, 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 really busy, and sometimes people are really tricky. They don't tell the dog groomer that there's an issue. They just hope and pray that maybe today, the last 10 times that they tried to get it into a dog groomer somewhere, they got invited to not return and all that kind of thing. But maybe today, this one will be different, and it's probably not going to be, right? There's the stress of all the dogs, and another piece of it is that Christmas is a crazy time in the household, right? All the furniture's been moved from here to over there. There's this tree in the middle of the room. It's not been there before, and there's all these people coming and going, so the dogs are stressed. So if you got an aggressive and fearful dog, he's really got issues that need to be dealt with, and the grooming salon is no place to be addressing those issues. All right, so medically dangerous because of the liability, upsets the other dogs. It's physically dangerous where you can have an accident. I got my notes because I made some notes. Not making excuses, right? That's a big one. Not making excuses and adjusting your behavior in your household for why this dog is doing what it's doing. You know, you got to get underneath of it to solve it. You know, I had a lady just the other day. It's an interesting thing going on there. She's quite hostile, actually. She's sick and tired of dog groomers. They're just sick and tired of them, right? And as I'm listening to her rant and rave about all these other salons and how nobody knows what they're doing, etc., 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 right? What I'm gaining from that conversation is that she's got a dog that is not in control. In fact, she's got 3 of them that are not in control. So she's showing up in dog grooming salons and they're being complete apes and they're being invited to not return. They're not getting a good job done because it takes too much time. They're not skilled at it. Who knows what it is? But the woman is 100% unwilling to take ownership and responsibility, hold the mirror up to her own face and realize, I haven't trained my dogs. I haven't done what I need to do so that these 3 dogs are happy and peaceful, so that they're listening to me, so that they're confident, so that I can take them out, I can take them off leash and everything goes well. I can walk them on leash. They look to me 100% of the time for guidance and everything is perfect. She doesn't have that. So rather than say, it's my fault that this isn't happening and what the heck do I need to do to make it so that I can have it, she's projecting, wow, a ton of blame. I haven't even met her, but a ton of blame on everybody from the veterinarian to the dog groomer to the neighbor around the corner. And it, you know, I'm not going to invite that into my shop. I'm just not going to, because I got to protect my little Maggie who comes all the time, right? I'm not going to bring that in to upset her peaceful and joyful time that she has here, or her sisters and all that kind of thing. And a lot of grooming shops just don't tell owners that, right? They just kind of smile and go, okay, and hope you go away, right? Or whatever, or hope that you figure it out. Hopefully you'll find a trainer. So that's why I get on here, to help dog owners understand why their experiences are sometimes what they are. Okay? Off I go to do something else. Maggie's just in for a little face feed and fanny. And get her sent home. Okay, have a great day, everybody. Hopefully you found the information useful and the discussion helpful. Share it with your family and friends. And we'll talk to you later about some other topic that drops in my lap. Okay, bye everybody.